I came home and found my stuff dumped on the lawn by my wife and her parents, telling me to get off her house. But I had bought the place long before I met her, so I called the police and they got dumped out instead. I'm a 35-year-old male desk worker for an IT firm specializing in financial systems protection. For the last decade, I've been grinding, working 60-plus hour weeks, sacrificing my 20s. While most of my college buddies were out partying, I saved every penny I could while living in a cramped apartment with two roommates who were questionable at best when it came to basic hygiene. One of them literally never washed his dishes. They just soaked for weeks. But I put up with it because I had a goal. Finally, at 28, I bought my dream house. Not a mansion, but a really nice 3-bedroom ranch on a quiet street with mature trees and decent neighbors. It had a finished basement where I set up my gaming station and home office, a backyard big enough for her, a dog, which was always the plan, and a kitchen that didn't make me want to cry every time I cooked. I put down $80,000 I'd been saving since college graduation. My parents helped with $20,000, but I paid them back within 2 years because I didn't want to owe anyone. I was damn proud of that house and what it represented, actually achieving something substantial through hard work and delayed gratification. I met Sophia, a 34-year-old female, on Bumble about 5 years ago. She seemed cool at first, claiming to be into hiking and video games and describing herself as low maintenance in her profile. She had this quirky laugh that I found endearing and could talk for hours about true crime documentaries, which I was into at the time. We dated for a year, moved pretty quickly, and got married at a courthouse with a small reception at my place. She moved into my house, which I'd already owned for 2 years. There were red flags I ignored because I was admittedly just happy to not be single anymore. She worked as an executive assistant but called in sick constantly. She expected expensive birthday, Christmas, Valentine's, and anniversary gifts, but got me stuff from the clearance rack. Her parents treated her like she was still 16 and she let them. She had anxiety that conveniently acted up whenever there was a chore to do. She never once offered to split any house-related expenses and had a mysterious shopping habit that somehow never affected her meager bank account. I later found out my credit card was funding it. I got home around 6:30 in the evening after a killer deadline, having coded for literally 14 hours straight, debugging a critical security patch. My brain was completely fried, my eyes burning from staring at screens all day. Dreaming of crashing on my couch and maybe playing some Xbox to decompress, I pulled into my driveway and had to slam on the brakes because there was a pile of stuff on my front lawn. My stuff. My faded college hoodie from State University was lying in the grass getting damp. My $4,000 vinyl collection, which I've been meticulously building since high school, was spilling out of a box, some records exposed to the elements. My gaming accessories, books, clothes, even that stupid ceramic owl Sophia gave me for our anniversary. Bought with my credit card, as I later discovered was sitting crooked on top of the pile. There they were, the in-laws from hell. Cheryl, 62, and Gary, 65, both standing there with smug looks on their faces like they just won the lottery. These people have never worked real jobs in their entitled lives. Gary manages some family property he inherited from his daddy, and Cheryl's entire identity revolves around being Sophia's mom and shopping at Nordstrom. Both were wearing designer clothes while standing on my lawn throwing my stuff around. Sophia was hovering by the porch, arms crossed, looking away like she couldn't meet my eyes. Her body language was a weird mix of defiant and nervous, like someone who knows they're doing something terrible but has convinced themselves they're justified. Before I even got my car door open, Cheryl started in with that shrieking voice of hers that sounds like a nail gun hitting sheet metal. There he is. Finally, the worthless bum. This from a woman who once told me at Thanksgiving that real men buy their wives Tiffany bracelets just because in that my job in computer stuff wasn't impressive, because anyone can do that nowadays. I felt a weird calm come over me, like deep sea pressure or something. A strange clarity when everything suddenly makes perfect sense. I got out slowly, not rushing. Gary puffed up his chest like he always does when he's trying to intimidate someone. The dude's been living off his daddy's money his whole life but acts like he's some self-made titan of industry. He has these business cards that say entrepreneur investor, but I've never actually seen him do either of those things. Okay, Ethan, this isn't working. He barked at me using his "I'm talking to the waitstaff who brought me the wrong appetizer" voice. Get out, we're changing the locks tomorrow. This is Sophia's house now. Our daughter deserves stability, security. Not well, you. He waved his hand dismissively like I was garbage that had blown onto his property. Like the guy who works 60-plus hours a week to pay for everything is the problem. Sophia finally spoke up, her voice all quiet and thin, using that baby girl tone she uses when she wants something expensive. Ethan, it's over. I told you things weren't right. Mom and Dad agree. It's just better if you leave my house. My house. The one I bought with my down payment 5 years before I even swiped right on her profile. The one where only my name is on the deed and mortgage and everything. The one I'd spent thousands renovating little by little. New water heater fixing the deck, replacing the ancient dishwasher. All while she complained that we weren't prioritizing the cosmetic updates she wanted for her Instagram photos. Her parents had maybe visited 4 times before she moved in, always acting like they were doing me some huge favor by gracing me with their presence, always making comments about how I should really upgrade. The countertops are asking, when are you getting a pool put in, never offering to chip in, of course. One time Gary actually said, when Sophia fully moves in, we should talk about proper window treatments for this place. Like I was living in some kind of unfinished construction site instead of a perfectly nice home. And now suddenly it's Sophia's house. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Cheryl came at me finger-stabbing the air, her fancy manicure glinting in the evening sun. She had this self-righteous look on her face like she was delivering divine judgment. You heard her. Get out. You aren't welcome here, you worthless bum. This is our daughter's house now. Then she kicked one of my boxes for emphasis. My old Psychology 101 textbook skidded across the wet grass, landing in a puddle from the morning's rain. That's when the absurdity hit me. I started laughing, not a chuckle, but a full-blown, slightly manic laugh that surprised even me. It echoed in the quiet street. Here was this 62-year-old woman, who I'd watched drop $600 on lunch without blinking, kicking my college textbook around like she was some tough enforcer in a bad mob movie. Cheryl's jaw literally dropped. Gary blinked stupidly. Sophia flinched like I'd screamed at her. My house! I choked out, wiping my eye. Sophia's house. Wow. Did I miss the closing? Was there a memo? Because last I checked, I'm the only one who's paid a single penny toward this mortgage. I'm the only name on the deed. I've never seen any of you write a check for property taxes or insurance or repairs. The neighbors across the street had come out onto their porch watching the show. Don't you dare mock us, Gary blustered, puffing up again. His Rolex, a real one, sadly glinted as he gesticulated wildly. This is only fair. Sophia dedicated years to you. She deserves this house for everything she's put up with. Put up with what I asked. My face getting hot, but my voice steady. My stable job paying all the bills, the vacations I funded, the $4,000 handbag I bought her for her birthday that she used twice before deciding it was last season. Cheryl jumped in her voice, rising to a pitch that probably disrupted satellite signals. You clearly don't appreciate her. You work constantly. You're never home. We're stepping in to ensure she has what she deserves. Right, I said, the laughter gone, replaced by ice in my veins. I pulled out my phone. What are you doing? Sophia asked, panic flashing in her eyes. For the first time, she looked unsure of herself. Calling the folks who handle property disputes, I said evenly. Trespassing specifically, you know, the police. I'd never called the cops in my life, but this was beyond ridiculous. Don't you dare! Cheryl shrieked, her voice hitting a note that probably disturbed bats in the next county. This is a family matter. We don't need to involve outsiders. Not when you're on my property throwing my stuff around, I replied, dialing 911. Not when you're trying to illegally evict me from a house that I own outright with no legal claim whatsoever. That's actually a crime, by the way. Sophia started to cry. Those practiced tears that always appeared the moment she wasn't getting her way. The same tears that came out when I said we couldn't afford a $3,000 purse, or when I suggested she might want to contribute to our joint savings account once in a while. Ethan, please don't do this. We can talk about it. I just need some space right now. And Mom and Dad thought they could steal my house. I finished for her. Yeah, I gathered that part. As I explained the situation to the dispatcher, I watched Gary whispering urgently to Cheryl, whose face was turning an alarming shade of red. Sophia just stood there, probably realizing that her master plan was falling apart before her eyes. The neighbors were outright staring now. Mrs. Peterson from next door had come outside with her phone possibly recording. Great. This would be all over the neighborhood Facebook group by morning. I calmly gave my address, stated there were 3 individuals trespassing, refusing to leave, who had moved my belongings onto the lawn and were claiming ownership of my home. I could hear Cheryl in the background, practically gargling with rage, yelling that I was the one who needed to leave. My name is on the deed and mortgage. I've lived here for 7 years. They're trying to illegally evict me, I explained to the dispatcher, who sounded like she'd heard it all before. Gary started toward me, his face turning purple under his expensive haircut. He was muttering something about talking some sense into me. Gary, I wouldn't, I warned, holding up my free hand. Stay there. Adding assault to the mix won't look good for you. He hesitated, then stopped. Gary's whole tough guy act falls apart the second there might be actual consequences. He's used to bullying people with his money and connections, not facing real repercussions. Sophia looked genuinely panicked now. Not sad, not upset, but panicked, like someone whose scheme was rapidly falling apart. Ethan, please hang up. Just go stay with your brother Ryan for a few days. We can talk later. I promise we'll work something out. Talk about what Sophia. My voice was flat. The betrayal felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. 3 years of marriage, and this is what it came down to. The part where you plotted with your parents to illegally kick me out of the house I own, or the part where you stood by while they threw my life onto the lawn. Which bit requires clarification? She winced. Actually physically winced. Mom? Dad, maybe we should go. We can come back tomorrow with... We're not going anywhere, Cheryl snapped, adjusting her designer sunglasses even though the sun was nearly down. This is your house, Sophia. Don't be weak now. He's bluffing about the police. I wasn't bluffing. The flashing lights arrived quickly. 2 cars, 4 officers. Our neighborhood isn't exactly high crime, so I guess they were bored. They took in the scene, me by my car, my possessions scattered across the lawn, the trio near the porch. They separated us. 2 officers talked to Cheryl, Gary, and Sophia, while the other 2 spoke with me. I explained the situation, showed my license with the matching address, pulled up photos of the deed on my phone, mentioned it was solely mine, premarital. I showed them my key in the lock and the years of mortgage statements on my banking app. The senior officer listened, nodded, his face unreadable. He then rejoined the other group. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught snippets. Legal resident civil matter for the courts. Must vacate the premises immediately. Sophia was doing the crying thing again with Cheryl's arm around her. Gary was puffing up his chest, talking about misunderstandings and how I was mentally unstable. Classic Gary trying to rewrite reality when things don't go his way. I've watched him do this countless times at family gatherings, changing the story until he comes out looking like the hero. Not this time, Gary. Not with my house. Mrs. Peterson was definitely recording now, not even trying to be subtle about it. The neighbors across the street had brought out lawn chairs. Great dinner and a show. The senior officer, a guy with salt and pepper hair, and the patient expression of someone who's seen every variety of human stupidity, finally walked back to me. Sir, we've explained the situation to them. This is clearly your residence, and they have no legal right to remove you or your belongings. They need to leave immediately. I nodded, relief washing over me. Thank you, officer. However, he continued, I should note that this is ultimately a civil matter. If there are disputes about property ownership, those need to be settled in court. I understand, I said, but there's no dispute. The house is solely in my name. Purchased before marriage. He nodded. That seems straightforward. Then what happened next will forever be one of the most satisfying moments of my life. Cheryl went absolutely nuclear when the officers told them they had to leave. Her face turned a weird shade of purple that clashed horribly with her obviously dyed blonde hair. It's her marital home. He can't just throw her out. We aren't leaving. She shrieked, gesturing wildly. Do you know who we are in this community? Gary puffed up again, adjusting his Rolex like it gave him superpowers. We're staying to protect our daughter. This man is unstable rich, coming from the guy who once told me at Christmas that prenups are for men without balls when I casually mentioned a friend getting one. The officer's patience visibly thinned. Ma'am, sir, this isn't optional. This is his property according to the ID provided and his legal statement. You are trespassing. You need to leave now. Cheryl planted her designer shoes on my lawn and just said no. And then added, do you know who my husband is? We have connections in this town. We play golf with Judge Harmon. They don't. They live 45 minutes away in a McMansion. They're probably underwater on. And Judge Harmon retired 3 years ago. That was it. One officer took Cheryl firmly by the arm. She shrieked like she was being murdered and tried to pull away, screaming, How dare you touch me? I'll have your badge. Another officer firmly steered Gary toward the sidewalk. It wasn't rough, but it was decisive. Gary kept saying, This is outrageous. In this fake, dignified voice, while simultaneously threatening to end my career and have the officers fired, physically escorted off my property, yelling threats and insults the whole way. You'll regret this. We'll see you in court. Sophia deserves everything. You're nothing without her. Your job is a joke. Your family is trash. Sophia trailed after them, head down, crying those perfectly timed tears she always uses when she doesn't get her way. The same tears she used when I wouldn't agree to drain my 401k for the dream European vacation her parents convinced her she deserved. She didn't look back at me once, just followed her parents like a programmed robot. The officers made sure they got in their car. A BMW X5 that Gary loves to mention is fully loaded at every opportunity, which was parked suspiciously down the block like they knew they were doing something shady. As they drove off, one officer turned to me. "Sir, I'd recommend changing your locks as soon as possible and document everything if there are further incidents." I nodded, thanking them profusely for their help. As they left, my phone exploded with texts, missed calls, and voicemails. Cheryl's incoherent rage. "You pathetic excuse for a man. My daughter deserves your house and everything in it. You will pay for humiliating us." Gary's fake, disappointed guilt trips. "I thought you were a better man than this, Ethan. After everything our daughter did for you. After we welcomed you into our family." Translation. After I paid for their anniversary dinner last year and fixed Gary's laptop for free multiple times. Sophia's whining texts. "Ethan, please call me. It's not what it looks like. My parents were just worried about me. We can fix this. I'm at the Marriott and it's so uncomfortable. I miss our bed." I ignored them all. I methodically gathered every single item from the lawn, careful to check for damage. I found my rare first pressing of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon with water damage on the cover. I saw her Instagram open on our shared iPad. She'd already posted a crying selfie with the caption, "Sometimes the people you trust the most betray you," with her parents commenting supportive nonsense. 40+ likes already. I carried everything back inside, locked the door, and went through every room looking for anything else missing or damaged. My first call the next morning was to a locksmith. $450 to change every lock. My second was to the meanest divorce lawyer in town, which led me to Mr. Davies. They actually thought this would work, that I'd just hand over a $520,000 house I bought with my own money to their precious princess. Unfreaking believable. It's been 3 weeks since the lawn incident and things have gotten messy. First, thanks for all the comments and support on the last post. RIP my inbox. But seriously, it's good to know I'm not the only one who's dealt with psycho in-laws trying to claim property that isn't theirs. I met with my lawyer, Mr. Davies, a sharp-focused ex-military guy who doesn't take nonsense from anyone. His office has this minimalist vibe that somehow screams, "I will destroy your enemies without a single threatening word." I laid out the whole story. Documentation in hand, deed, mortgage, tax bills, all predating Sophia, all solely mine. I've paid $2,250 a month for the mortgage for years, while she contributed exactly $0. Not even once did she offer to chip in for property taxes or home insurance. He confirmed my position with badass confidence. The house is separate property. End of discussion. Legally, Sophia might have a theoretical claim to a tiny slice of appreciation if she could prove substantial direct contribution, which Davies said was about as likely as me becoming the next Batman. Based on the financials I provided, I paid for everything significant. Mortgage, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, all repairs. When the water heater died, that was my $1,300. When we needed a new refrigerator, that was my $2,200. It cost me a $5,000 retainer, but watching Davey start planning the legal smackdown was worth every penny. The man literally took notes in what looked like military shorthand, occasionally nodding with a slight predatory smile. He started drafting the divorce petition, immediately citing irreconcilable differences, but including a factual summary of the lawn incident as context for her behavior. "We're establishing a pattern of entitlement and attempted property theft," he explained with a slight smile that honestly gave me chills. Judges don't like seeing this kind of behavior. The harassment didn't stop. It just mutated into a multi-headed hydra of nonsense. Constant calls at all hours. Caller ID is my friend. I'd wake up to 17 missed calls from various numbers that all turned out to be them. Texts ranging from Cheryl's all-caps threats. "No one treats my daughter this way. We have friends in this town," to Gary's attempts at manipulation. "Think of the good times. Ethan, don't throw it all away. We can work something out where everyone wins." Translation. Where they win. To Sophia's pathetic pleading, "Ethan, please talk to me. I miss you. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Mom and Dad just want what's best for me. I need some of my things." Then Sophia's older sister, Heather, 38, entered the fray. For context, Heather always fancied herself the family fixer, but she's really just the family bully. She's the one who once told me at Thanksgiving that I shouldn't expect to be treated like family until I'd proven myself worthy, whatever that means. She started with fake sweet texts. "Ethan, honey, you need to talk to Sophie. This is tearing her apart. She's lost 5 pounds from stress. Meanwhile, Sophia's Instagram showed her out at brunch with friends looking just fine, sipping mimosas and smiling. When I ignored those, the claws came out. Angry voicemails, you gutless coward. Answer the phone. Who do you think you are? Do you know what this is doing to my parents? They're devastated. Sophia is a wreck. You always were selfish, but this is a new low, even for you. Then the doorbell started ringing one evening while I was on a work call about a critical security patch. Non-stop ding-dong, ding-dong. I checked the video doorbell. Heather looking furious. Expensive purse on her arm. Wonder who paid for that. I ignored it. Then the banging started, loud enough to rattle the door frame. I had to mute myself on my call. Ethan, open this damn door, you pathetic coward. You think you can just kick her out after everything, after all my family has done for you? They once brought a $7 bottle of wine to dinner and acted like they funded my college education. The projection was stunning. I saved the video, called the non-emergency line, referenced the prior incident, and emailed the footage. The cops paid a visit. The same officer as before. Officer Rodriguez, who deserves a medal for his patience, told me later that Heather tried to convince him I was mentally unstable and holding Sophia's family heirlooms hostage. The direct harassment from Heather stopped after what I assume was a come-to-Jesus talk from Officer Rodriguez, but I knew she wasn't done. These people are like termites. They just find a new way in. The psychological warfare shifted to subtler stuff. I got a fraud alert on my AMX for a $3,900 Louis Vuitton purchase I didn't make. I caught it and had the card canceled. An alert from my bank about a blocked suspicious login attempt to my retirement accounts. I changed passwords everywhere and added double authentication. These vultures were trying to drain me financially. Then came the deluge of junk mail for Sophia at my address. Bridal magazines. We're getting divorced. Parenting catalogs. We have no kids. She always said she wasn't ready. Credit card offers galore. Davies explained this was likely an attempt to establish residency or create a paper trail, making it look like she still lived here. I marked everything returned to sender address, no longer resides here, and sent it straight to recycling. Gary and Cheryl started with slow, creepy drive-by past the house in their BMW X5 financed, according to my neighbor who works at the dealership. Then Gary escalated, slowing down, while I was mowing the lawn and yelling, "Enjoy it while you can. You'll be in an apartment soon." Before speeding off, it felt like something out of a bad movie. I spent $1,200 on a comprehensive security system with 4 high-end cameras covering every angle of my property. Best investment ever. The smear campaign went nuclear. My brother Ryan called saying Heather had ambushed him at his work, launching into a tirade about how I was unstable, abusive, controlling, and had tossed Sophia out penniless after I supposedly had an affair with a coworker. Ryan not only knows me, but has seen firsthand how Sophia would drain my accounts for girls' trips to Vegas, then cry when I asked for receipts. He shut Heather down with, "I've watched your sister spend his money for years while contributing nothing, so forgive me if I don't believe a word you're saying. They're clearly trying to poison anyone who might support me." I got a text from Megan, Sophia's cousin, who's quietly sympathetic because Sophia once stole her boyfriend. That blew my mind. At a family dinner 3 weeks before the lawn incident, Cheryl was cornering relatives, boasting about how they were taking care of things and ensuring Sophia got the house she deserved. Direct quote, "Ethan doesn't realize it yet, but that house will be Sophia's by summer." When Gary has it all planned out, the pre-planning was confirmed. This was a calculated attack from the beginning. Sophia hired the most ambulance-chasing divorce attorney in town. Her online reviews literally include complaints about inflated bills. She sent a formal demand letter to Davies asking for 80% of the house's current value, $520,000, so $416,000 to her $7,800 per month in spousal support, more than I actually make after taxes. All furniture in the house, including stuff I owned before marriage. My car, which is paid off unlike hers, my retirement account's worth about $180,000, which I've been building since before I met her, and for me to pay her legal fees already at $15,000 apparently. The balls on these people, just astronomical levels of entitlement. Davies' response was ice cold. He didn't just send a letter. He called a meeting with her lawyer, recorded it with permission, and systematically dismantled every claim while citing relevant case law. He reiterated the house's non-negotiable separate property status, CC. The deed again referenced the police reports regarding the eviction attempt and Heather's harassment, and stated spousal support was a non-starter given her conduct and our short marriage. The best part, Davies had done his homework. He pulled Sophia's credit report legal during divorce proceedings and found she had opened 3 new credit cards in the 2 months before the lawn incident, maxed them all out, $37,000 total, and made minimum payments from our joint account. He presented evidence that she had been planning this for months, systematically draining shared resources while plotting to take my separate property. This pattern of financial behavior, Davies told her lawyer, will be presented to the court as evidence of premeditated attempts to defraud Mr. My Last Name prior to a planned attempt to seize his separate property. Her lawyer's face apparently went white. Davies agreed to discuss the division of actual marital assets, like the joint savings, but only after the house issue was formally dropped, and we had a full accounting of where that $37,000 credit card debt went. I blocked all their numbers. All communication comes via lawyers now. This is stressful, not going to lie. There are nights I don't sleep well staring at the ceiling, wondering how someone I shared a bed with for 3 years could do this. But every ridiculous demand, every failed stunt just steals my resolve. They thought I'd crumble. Big mistake. They thought they were dealing with some pushover who'd give up his home to avoid conflict. Instead, they found out I'm the kind of guy who will spend his last dollar making sure justice is served. And guys, it's about to be served hot. Grab some popcorn for this one. It's done. Finally, completely officially done. The divorce decree is finalized. And the consequences for Team Gold Digger are biblical. The last couple of months were a legal circus, but Davies, my lawyer, was worth every penny of his $375 per hour rate. Heather, Sophia's sister, after being shut down by my work's HR for sending harassing emails claiming I was emotionally abusive, which Davies documented, tried one last stunt, a fake Instagram profile using my name and pictures, posting racist crap, and DM our mutual friends saying I was on drugs. It caused a brief headache. I had to explain it to my boss when a screenshot circulated, but it was clumsy and obvious. Davies sent a cease and desist with a threat of criminal charges for identity theft. We reported the profile. It got nuked. That seemed to finally silence Heather. Cheryl and Gary kept up their pity tour, telling anyone who would listen that I was financially abusing their daughter by not giving her my house. But it lost steam when people realized these so-called upstanding citizens were basically trying to commit real estate fraud. Their narrative of the abusive husband kicking out poor Sophia just didn't stick once. Mutual friends saw the police body cam footage of them being escorted off my property. Yeah, Davies subpoenaed that absolute boss move. The legal process crawled with Sophia's lawyer, some ambulance chaser. Gary found filing motion after motion requests for discovery where Sophia couldn't produce a single document proving financial contribution to the house. Scheduling conferences, her lawyer kept trying to push for mediation focused on the house. Davies shut it down every time with 3 simple words: separate premarital property. Finally, in a pre-trial settlement conference faced with 0 legal standing on the house documented harassment, and the judge basically signaling, "Stop wasting my time," Sophia's lawyer advised her to cut her losses, the revenge legal financial, and served ice cold. Here's where it gets good. The divorce decree was brutally simple, and exactly what Davies predicted from the start. To the house confirmed 100% my separate premarital property. No equity split, no buyout off the table, and spousal support denied. Justification cited short marriage duration and documented misconduct. The lawn incident, harassment, and assets. We split the joint savings, $12,000 total. Mostly my money. She gets her personal belongings, that's it. But here's the cherry on top. Davies found out through discovery that Gary had loaned Sophia $65,000 over the past year, which explains the mysterious shopping sprees in her new boob job that I supposedly didn't appreciate enough. Davies successfully argued this was an attempt to hide and drain marital assets. Since these transfers happened as our marriage was deteriorating, the judge agreed and ordered Sophia to repay me $32,500, half the amount from her share of our assets. After the judgment, Sophia called me sobbing. Turns out that loan from Daddy wasn't a gift after all. Gary expected to be paid back from the house money they were so sure they'd get from me. Now she owes him $65,000 and me $32,500. Has no job. She quit her admin position back in March, assuming she'd be set for life, and Gary and Cheryl are furious. Here's where it gets even better. Remember those designer clothes and jewelry Sophia kept buying? Davey suggested I request an inventory of items purchased during the marriage. Anything bought with my income during marriage is technically marital property. I got half the value of her Cartier bracelet, Louis Vuitton bags, and her entire Sephora collection. Total value $18,000 to me. Watching her face as she realized her shopping addiction was now costing her was priceless. The belongings hassle. Sophia ignored requests to pick up her stuff for weeks, probably thinking she'd be moving back in. Davies advised packing it professionally and storing it to avoid claims of damage. I paid the initial storage fees up front to get her crap out of my house. She refused to pay the ongoing storage fees. I let the unit go to auction after proper legal notice. Someone got her priceless collection of designer shoes for $350. Sucks to be her. The financial implosion, absolute perfection, absolute. Sophia's credit is wrecked from all the cards she maxed out. Cheryl and Gary co-signed a lease on a $3,800 a month luxury apartment for her banking on the house payout. Now Sophia has no job, owes nearly $100,000, and Cheryl and Gary are stuck covering her rent. My buddy who works at Gary's bank, yeah, I know, small world, told me confidentially that Gary had to take out a HELOC on their own house to cover their suddenly mounting expenses. Then last week, the begging started. First, Sophia, Ethan, please. I'm desperate. My parents are going to kick me out. I have nowhere to go. I made a terrible mistake listening to them. Can we please talk? I still love you. Then Gary, if you can believe it, called from a block number. Look, we may have overstepped. Perhaps we can discuss an arrangement. Sophia is really struggling. Translation: help us fix the mess we created. The final humiliation came when Cheryl sent me an email. Ethan, I know we've had our differences, but Sophia is in a very bad place right now. Perhaps we could meet for coffee and discuss how to move forward in a way that benefits everyone. Gary and I are prepared to be reasonable. This from the woman who called me worthless and tried to steal my house. I sent all communication to Davies, who responded with a formal letter stating any further contact would be considered harassment and result in a restraining order. He attached copies of the original police report, showing them trying to illegally evict me, just as a friendly reminder. They're completely isolated. My friends who initially stayed neutral came back with apologies once they saw the evidence. Sophia's friends figured out she was using them for free dinners and weekend crash pads and cut her off. They tried hosting a fundraiser for her legal fees. 3 people showed up, including Heather. How am I doing? Freaking great. I upgraded my gaming PC with the money I'm saving, not supporting her shopping habit. I lost 15 pounds of stress weight. I got promoted at work. Turns out focusing on your career instead of dealing with entitled in-laws has benefits. I bought a German Shepherd puppy named Justice. Yes, I went there. I started dating a corporate attorney who thinks what Sophia and her parents did was textbook real estate fraud and borderline criminal. The house feels like mine again. I painted the living room the color Sophia hated, converted her meditation room that she used twice into a proper home office, and installed the hot tub she said was tacky in the backyard. They tried to take everything. They ended up with crushing debt-damaged relationships and a permanent record of their attempted fraud. I've got my house, my sanity, and the satisfaction of knowing that every time they see a BMW like mine drive by, they're reminded of how spectacularly their plan backfired. Justice isn't just the name of my dog. It's what happens when entitled people mess around and find out. Thanks for all the support, everyone.